Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and demystify the miniature circuit breaker. We're going to unlock the mystery behind a tiny, fascinating device that's literally embedded in the walls of our homes, keeping us safe every single day. We all completely rely on them, but honestly, very few of us actually know what goes on inside. So what actually happens when the lights go out? Well, we've all been there, right? Imagine you're running a space heater, you decide to turn on the microwave, and maybe someone else fires up a hairdryer in the next room. Suddenly, click. Half the house plunges into total darkness. The power is out. But what actually happened in that exact split second? Today, using an excellent breakdown from electric school, we're going to explore exactly how and why that happens and look at the hidden mechanics preventing our everyday electronics from causing catastrophic damage. Our focus today is the MCB, miniature circuit breaker. If you live in a house built or updated in the last few decades, these have completely replaced those old-school screw and glass fuses. The MCB acts as the ultimate, resettable guardian for your electrical system. It's essentially a watchdog, designed to constantly monitor the current flowing through your wires and automatically shut off the power the exact moment things get dangerous. Looking at the familiar exterior of the MCB, it's pretty unassuming, isn't it? It's really just a simple plastic block with a black switch. But every single feature on this face serves a specific, highly standardized purpose for electricians and homeowners alike. These exterior components are simple but absolutely crucial. Starting at the very top, we have the line terminal. That's where the live power comes in from the grid. Moving down, there's a trip indicator, which gives you a really quick visual cue to show the circuit status. Then, of course, we have the operating handle to manually flip the power on or off. Just below that is the rating. In our example here, it says C32, which tells us this specific breaker is rated to handle exactly 32 amps of current before it decides to intervene. And finally, at the very bottom is the load terminal, where the wire heads out to actually power your wall outlets and lights. But unlocking the hidden mechanics is where things get really interesting. If you strip away that outer casing, you reveal an absolute engineering marvel. I mean, look at how incredibly packed it is in there. It looks almost like the inside of a complex mechanical watch. Instead of just a simple wire passing through, we have coils, levers, metallic strips, and a whole array of miniature mechanical components, all just waiting on a hair trigger to spring into action. To really understand how this works, let's trace the electrical current's literal path from top to bottom. Normally, when your appliances are running perfectly, power enters through the top line terminal. It flows down into a piece of metal called the bimetallic strip, then travels right through the center of that tightly wound copper magnetic coil. Next, it bridges a physical gap between two metal plates known as the fixed and moving contacts. Finally, it flows out the bottom load terminal and right into your home. As long as those contacts are touching, the bridge is open, and your electricity flows perfectly smoothly. So the absolutely crucial point here is that this intricate mechanical bridge isn't just a switch, it's actually a dual sensor. This mechanism must defend your home against two very distinct, very dangerous electrical situations: a slow overload of current and a sudden catastrophic short circuit. Both involve way too much electricity, but they happen in entirely different ways, and the MCB has dedicated parts to handle each specific threat. Let's break down those two threats: thermal versus magnetic trip units. First, the overload. That's like when you plug in too many appliances at once. It creates a slow buildup of heat. To fight this, the MCB uses a thermal trip unit, specifically that bimetallic strip we saw earlier. As too much current flows, the strip heats up. Because it's made of two different metals, it physically bends as it gets hot, and eventually it pushes the trip lever. But what about a short circuit? That's when wires accidentally touch, sending a massive, instant surge of electricity. There's literally no time to wait for metal to bend. For this, the MCB uses a magnetic trip unit, the copper coil. A massive current spike instantly turns that coil into a super powerful electromagnet, which immediately pulls a small rod inside it, violently tripping the switch in mere milliseconds. Arc shoot. Now, breaking this electrical connection under extreme load creates a massive physical problem. Seeing the arc shoot in action is mind-blowing. When the breaker violently pulls those metal contacts apart under load, the electricity desperately wants to keep going. It literally jumps the physical gap, creating a spark of superheated plasma. It's exactly like a miniature lightning strike. This spark is incredibly hot and could easily melt the entire plastic casing right off the wall. Enter our unsung hero, the arc shoot.
Notice that stack of parallel metal plates? Well, electromagnetic forces physically blow that dangerous arc directly into this chute, where the plates slice the spark into smaller, manageable pieces, cooling it down and extinguishing it instantly before it can do any damage whatsoever. It's literally a miniature fire extinguisher for electricity built right in.
Looking at the MCB overview and pulling back to the big picture, this clever combination of thermal bending, magnetic tripping, and arc extinguishing is exactly why MCBs are the global standard. They are fundamentally safe, incredibly reliable, and boast a remarkably long service life, doing all this heavy lifting repeatedly without ever needing replacement, like those old, frustrating glass fuses. It really makes you look at that gray metal box in your garage or basement a little differently, doesn't it? The next time you flip that simple plastic switch to get the lights back on, take a second to think about the bending metals, the electromagnets, and those arc chutes slicing up plasma, all working perfectly together in fractions of a second to keep you and your home safe. So I'll leave you with this. How many of these tiny, silent guardians are working behind the walls of your home right now?